Ironman is the ultimate mental and physical and spiritual test the human body can endure and pursue. That's what I would say an Ironman is.
Have one of them, and I put it on my bike, and then I was like, where's the other one? Crap!
The spirit of Ironman is no limits.
I can tell he's getting more tired with each mile.
I think it's no limits on what your body is capable of, what your mind is capable of, not just in the sense of competing in swim, biking, and running, but in all that it takes to prepare for it, the sacrifices that you make.
That was the most humbling thing I've ever done in my life.
Great unknown was definitely haunting Connor.
Whether that's with your family, friends, personal things, a lot has to be sacrificed in order for you to be able to take on an Ironman. So I would say it's the ultimate mental, physical, and spiritual test.
Just biking on vacation sucks. But we gotta do it anyway. 7.6 mile run out here in the hills of southern Missouri, northern Arkansas. Finished up 42 miles of running for the week with a lot of elevation gain, probably like over 5,000 feet of elevation gain. So good hill work for Lake Placid. 4 weeks to Lake Placid, baby. You gotta have a way to decompress, you know? You gotta find that. Because Ironman training's so tough, you gotta find some joy.
But you're still training.
Still training, just not as long, but still training. Still got in 15 hours of training this week. It's pretty good. Along with a lot of muscular work on the legs from wake surfing. So watch out, my bike's gonna be stellar.
I think it was interesting because the day before the race, I was the most anxious and nervous that I've ever been for a triathlon. Not just a triathlon, I was the most anxious and nervous I've ever been for any athletic event that I've ever done.
It's over by those tents, by that big tent.
Good, man.
So I run from the swim through here, pick up my bag.
My coach used to tell me you have about a 10 watt variance. 270 you can go up to try to get up through things, and down to about 250. But 250 to 270, you're ranging right there.
Which honestly is exactly in my zone for my FTP. Which is like based on what they say to race an Ironman and not die on the run. I'm conservative with saying 260.
Yep. And then it's all about that run. And start off the run conservative. It's all about getting a mile 20, and then at mile 20 you let it roar.
A day prior to the event actually taking place, I just could not get my nerves in control the day before. And we spent time as a family, went to the Olympic Museum, and that was good to kind of distract myself and take my mind off things a bit, and it did calm my nerves a bit, but I was still just really nervous and just kind of feeling that dark cloud of anxiety hanging over me the whole day before.
Do you need to go back and just chill?
No, because I don't want to be in a room alone. Like this is much better because I can just like kind of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I can't believe what I'm about to do tomorrow.
You're about to embark upon the biggest endurance hell on earth.
I got you. Look, I have something you can play with.
In my head, I have to like tell myself 112 miles of biking isn't that much. I'm like, it's not that long. I'm like,
Just Oceanside and St. George together.
yeah. I'm like,
Saturday practice. You've done that. You've done longer than 112.
I know, I did a 122-mile bike ride. And so that's why part of me is like, this is nothing. I can do it.
You've done so many. And you've done them well. And swimming, just view that as just a fun thing in the morning too.
Part of the nerves too is like, I don't want to be on the run and all of a sudden things fall apart. And then in my head, I'm going to be like, I've got family out here supporting me. It wasn't easy getting out here. Mentally, it's hard right now. I'm nervous as can be, probably more nervous than I've ever been for a triathlon. I don't remember the last time I was actually as anxious about a race, just because it's something completely new. I've never done an Ironman distance and I don't know how the body's going to react. The unknown, not knowing how this distance feels, I know what 26.2 miles feels isolated by itself. I've run plenty of marathons at a high level. I know how that feels. I've also biked 120 miles, which is more than 112. But I've never biked 112 miles at the wattage that I'm about to push for tomorrow, and that's going to be definitely over 4.5 hours of just a grind of biking. And I've never swam 2.4 miles straight in a open body of water. I have in a pool. So it's all just new, and then you combine it all together and you just don't know how the body will react. You can just train and prepare the best you can, but you never know.
I'm anxious about the race, just because I haven't seen him nervous about a race before. So I'm anxious about it in that regard.
Morning, everyone. In the morning of, same thing, just a lot of anxiety and a lot of just I don't know why I was so anxious. A big part of it is that I've never done an Ironman before. I've never done this distance. And training for one, you don't go out and do those distances, really. You just don't know what you're getting yourself into. Same thing with just the logistical stuff, with bag drop, gear drop, all of that, just not knowing how that all functions and works, and there's a lot to it. I had all my nutrition stuff set up the morning of and had it in the fridge just to be cold for when I got it. Dropped off my bike gear bag, my run gear bag, and then when I was in transition I realized that one of my carb electrolyte drinks and a water bottle wasn't with me.
I forgot my water bottle, like my carb electrolyte drink that I will take halfway through the bike. I forgot it. I have one of them and I put it on my bike, and then I was like, where's the other one? I couldn't see it. I have everything else. All my other nutrition, I have it, but not that. And it's pretty important.
I panicked because I really needed that. Especially in an Ironman, I only had 2 of those bottles. One of them I had, so I put it on my bike, but the other one had to be dropped off at the bike nutrition drop-off. I had to get, Dad to come down and bring that and drop it off at my bike nutrition stuff, and it was just a big hiccup the morning of.
His first race was 2021 right here. Let's welcome Jackson Langre.
Once I was in the water and starting my little warm-up swim and on the start line, I felt calm. Because I'm like, it's gonna happen, it's now happening. The swim was a really chaotic start, and I lost touch with the pack that I wanted to be with. Ended up just swimming with like a chase pack. Came out of the water, looked at my watch, realized that I was behind pace significantly from what I wanted to be. And then going into the second lap, I was swimming, I with all the age groupers that had just started their race. And I felt like I was just barreling over people trying to make up some ground, but it was really hard to do when you're just trying to swim around bodies, or in my case, swimming on top of bodies. So the swim just felt like constant chaos, and it was all a big blur. It just went by fast, but at the same time, it was a battle the whole time. It's a long run from the lake to the transition area, and I felt like if I had an opportunity to make up ground, that was where I could do it. It's just by running really fast, and I was. And I was coming down the hill towards transition, and there was a Penske moving truck backing out of transition. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And it just kept backing out, and it made the area for me to pass between the truck and getting into transition like very small. And everybody's yelling at the truck, stop, 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 he's coming, stop. Or maybe they were yelling even at me like, wait, but I wasn't going to wait. And so I ended up having to dodge a Penske moving truck that was going backwards to get into transition. It was a chaotic scene for sure. The bike was really wet at the beginning because it had been raining that morning. That whole bike course is kind of a grind uphill for a good solid 10 miles. I got into my groove, and you come to this turnaround point where you can kind of see all your competitors, and I'm counting how many people are ahead of me. Then it was just trying to catch up onto, some riders that were ahead of me, and which I did, and finally got into a groove. I would catch people on the climbs. I was climbing really, really well. And that's where I was making up ground on people, was those climbs. It is such a long part of the race. You're on your bike for more than 4 hours. That I did find myself just kind of reflecting on my life, on my family life, my wife, my kid, my job, my spirituality, my relationship with God. It's kind of funny, the things that you start thinking about while you're on a bike. You are working really hard. Your heart beats well above 150 beats per minute, but you are in just that zone where you don't want to focus entirely on the race at hand because it is such a long time.
So the bike, he wanted to do it in 4:48. He ended up doing 4:52, so he was 4 minutes off the pace that he wanted. But considering how hilly this course was, that's actually really good. He actually averaged really good time and came out in 29th place, which honestly is impressive, and I think it sets him up for a good shot now.
I was a little scared coming off the bike because it was only the second time ever I biked over 100 miles. My quads were feeling it, and I said, I have a marathon ahead of me. It's a bombing downhill coming out of transition onto the run, and I was flying.
Great job, pro triathlete, great job. Looking good, looking good.
And like that first mile I did in 5:15, but I felt really good, surprisingly. And I felt really good on the run for a while. And I could see once again all of the people that were ahead of me, like on the out and backs. And in my head I was thinking, just one by one, like I can pick them off just one by one.
Hey Miles!
I thought I could run myself into a top 10, a top 8 finish if I run a world record Ironman, which is sub 2:30. And it's a really hard course to do it, but with the way I was feeling for those first 9-10 miles, I said, this is a possibility, I can do this.
I can tell he's getting more tired with each mile, but he's looking good. Connor is wanting to place high enough to earn money, and I'm sure that's what's going through his mind. But probably more than that, actually, Connor's really hoping to break the 2:30 barrier in the run. And so he's probably just thinking, keep on pace to hit that goal. Yeah.
He's in a good spot.
But he, at the half marathon mark, giving us a thumbs up, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd say mile 14 is when I said I'm in really big trouble. Really big trouble. Because my body just started shutting down on me. And it was like a feeling I've never felt before in my life. Everything inside of me wanted to stop and quit and not even move anymore. And my mind wasn't even there. So I can't even say it was like mind over matter. In a way, it's mind over matter, but you start getting really lightheaded, dizzy, you're like hallucinating. It is quite the experience. My body completely was shutting down on me. And then I was just taking water and whatever I could get at each and every aid station, just trying to recuperate and get something in me. And I reached many points in that race where I was going very slow. You hit this major hill, going back towards the finish line, the last little bit, you go on and out and back, and the biggest hill there, that's where Dad was, and he was at the bottom of the hill, and he knew I was really struggling and really suffering, and he started running with me up the hill, just jogging next to me and encouraging me.
He does hard things like you, man. I'm telling you, you got this.
I didn't say anything back. I literally didn't have the energy to say anything back to him, and he even said, you don't have to say anything, just keep going. And I was really grateful that he was there. I was in a lot of pain and really struggling, and it was like the most humbled I had ever been in a race. And having Dad there, who's done Ironmans and obviously is my hero, just encouraging me was awesome, and just being right there next to me to help me out in that final stretch when it was really, really hard was awesome. Hannah too, just telling me that I could do it and that she was so proud of me was what Ironman's all about. I think the people that love you and care about you and sacrifice a lot for you, and then being there in your darkest moment during the marathon gives you the will to keep fighting. The finish was awesome because I knew the pain was going to end. And it was awesome to hear the classic.
Connor Weaver!
Woo!
Hiya. How you doing, buddy?
Something that I've wanted to do, and it was awesome to finally be able to take on that title of being an Ironman and finishing 16th overall in my first Ironman ever on arguably one of the hardest Ironman courses in the world. Was a special moment, but it was hard to even really enjoy that finishing shoot just because I just wanted the pain to be over.
I'm an Ironman. That was the most humbling thing I've ever done in my life. I'm just so happy to be done. I'm so happy. I've never been in such a dark place in my life.
telling you.
That ride was so hard, Dad.
I can't even imagine.
That run was so hard.
Oh, that run looked horrible.
It looked horrible.
I don't think you know.
I don't know. I don't know. I tried to run up that one hill with you because I knew that one was sucky.
That's for sure the worst, but it is so hard, Dad.
20 years old, finishing second. This coveted race. Let's bring her home.
Daddy is an Ironman. You're an aluminum boy. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
There's just nothing like it.
There's nothing like that.
And I knew it.
There's nothing like that.
Pressure.
8 times 2 is 16.
Yeah.
I will take that.
16's good, dude. First Ironman, are you kidding me? 16th overall.
No experience.
No experience.
This course.
This course. Yep.
Congrats, Colin. That was fun.
Thanks, Art.
Well done. Well done.
I'm glad somebody had fun out there.
Hey, you took off, shot out of the cannon on the run, shot your shot, run it down, baby. That's what I say. Burn the bridge.
I burnt the boats. I burnt the boats and said there's no going back. I think the first thought was that was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life, and I don't know if I ever want to do that again. I think I'm disappointed in finishing where I finished, and there's a lot of expectations that weren't met on race day, but at the end of the day, I am proud that I never gave up. And I'm proud too that I've done 4 races in the Ironman Pro Series that has arguably gathered the best Ironman athletes at all these events. And I've competed well, and I went from finishing in the 30s at Oceanside and having only a few weeks of triathlon training under me to 3 months later finishing Ironman Lake Placid and finishing 16th and running it in 8:42. And while my expectations haven't been met, I certainly shouldn't be completely disappointed either.
Okay.
I think that if I prepared the right way for an Ironman and didn't go out like a bullet on the run, it might feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as miserable. It'd still be miserable, but not as miserable.
Not as miserable. Yeah.
It's like hard to fathom that I did a marathon today.
Yeah.
Like a marathon distance.
I think that there's a lot of upside in my future, and I think that it's only a matter of time before I have a breakthrough race, and by next year I think we'll be singing a whole different tune, and it's not going to be, hey, I hope I can finish top 10 or top 8. I think podium finishes are the expectation now for Connor Weaver. So I'm looking forward to the future.